Welcome to the new Paltz Historic Documents Project. I'm Donna Dixon, Digital Librarian and Project Manager, and this is a brief, about 6.5 minutes, look at how to search and browse the documents in the project. We'll start our tour on the landing page or homepage for the new Paltz Historic Documents Project. Here you'll see a summary of the historical context and support for the project, as well as a content statement which gives some insight as to the language used in the documents and in describing them. When the project is completed in May 2024, it will include about 24,000 pages of documents, about 18,000 pages from Historic Huguenot Street's archives, and from our project partners, 4,000 pages from the Haviland Heidgert Historical Collection at Elting Memorial Library, New Paltz's public library, 2,300 pages from the New Paltz Town records that are housed at the HHS archives, and about 670 pages from the Reformed Church of New Paltz, some housed at HHS and others at the church archives. And thanks to a grant from Dutch Culture USA, we also present new and first ever translations of over 200 pages of Dutch documents in the project. You can jump into browsing the whole collection by clicking on the Explore the Collection from the home page. At the time we recorded this tutorial, there were 3,030 unique documents in the collection. But let's start by doing some basic searching from the home page. I'll use farming for an example of a keyword search. On the top of the list of results for that search, we see how many documents contain that keyword or subject. For this search, it's 50. You can also launch a keyword search from this page using the box at the top. Let's search on land this time. Quite a few more results in this search. For each record in the results set, you see a thumbnail image of the first page of the document title, and the beginning of a brief description, along with a date. Let's click on the first record and look at what each record contains. Once we're in the record, we see the image of the first page, along with thumbnails for following pages in the document over on the right. We can go between pages by using the arrows on either side of the big image, or we can click on the thumbnails on the right. Each document record in the New Paltz Historic Documents Project contains a title, a date if present on the document, a short description, additional notes where applicable, subject headings, we use Library of Congress subject headings, personal names of the people who are mentioned in the document when possible, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later, the location concerned in the document where applicable, and the language in the document, along with technical and institutional information. With personal names, like account books, some documents contain even hundreds or even thousands of names, and it's outside the scope of this phase of the project to transcribe every name to make it searchable. But we've made every effort to note the creator's name in very long documents and the primary names in shorter ones. And many records, like this one, contain every name that appears in its document. Some documents have been translated and or transcribed, and that information is in the document record when it's available. Let's go back to the results set for land by clicking on Back to Results at the upper right hand of the page. Then we can go back to the complete results set by canceling the previous search by clicking X next to land. Let's look at browsing options now. On the left side of the results set, you'll see several red bars going down the side of the page. Those are our facets or browse options. The first is subject.lcsh, or Library of Congress subject headings that are used in the project. They're in order by number of records that have that subject in them. Click on one of the headings to get those records. For example, Administration of Estates, which has 240 records with that subject heading. So we have 240 records concerning Administration of Estates, and we can further narrow the results by using the subject facets. Receipts, decedents' estates, enslaved persons who are frequently mentioned or named in estate documents as the property of the decedent, wills, etc. We can also narrow by personal name. We'll see here we have a list of members of the Elting and Jansen families, and that way we can look at a specific estate. Let's go back to the main results set by closing the administration search, and let's look at the other facets. Here we can narrow our browse by the source of the records. The New Paltz Historic Documents Project draws from family and personal papers, from institutional records like the New Paltz Town Records, and by organization collections like the Ulster County Militia. By clicking on one of those links, you'll see everything that's available from a particular source. Here, we've chosen to look at the Daniel and Simon Dubois papers. Note that you can change the sort order by relevance, title, date, or description. Again, we can further narrow this set of results by subject heading, personal name, or we can also narrow by physical format, what type of document it might be. Let's narrow by the Dutch language, or DUT, by clicking on that link. Now we've narrowed Daniel and Simon's papers to those in Dutch. Let's look at this invoice from Johannes Goetskes. This is an invoice written in Dutch, and we can see the image better by enlarging it using the arrow at the top right of the image. We can make it bigger still by using the plus key at the upper left of the image and the minus key to make it smaller. And we can use the X key at the upper right to go back to the main view. We can see the translation just below the document image. The invoice and demand for payment for medical care for Simon and for an unnamed woman whom he enslaved by Dr. Goetskes. You can go back to the homepage at any time by clicking on the New Paltz Historic Documents link at the upper left of the page. I hope this brief tutorial is helpful. Thank you for visiting the New Paltz Historic Documents project.